Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. Topic today is a sensitive one. And if you read the title, you know what we're going to be chatting about. Grab yourself a tea, coffee, and let's talk. I know it's hard. It's a difficult subject to talk about with people of any age, but we've been reflecting on the issue of adult children not wanting to be part of their parents' life. That is you. And I think that what I did when I prepared for this video was went out to a couple of the channels where younger people are, TikTok for example, and I asked them, if you made the decision to be estranged from your parents, what was the reason? What do you believe was the reason that you made that choice? And it was very challenging for me to read some of it because I could see a lot of the hurt and a lot of the anger and frustration. And I see it from the other side as well because I've spoken to so many of you about this and about the fact that it's the pain that mothers feel when their adult children do not want to talk to them or be in their lives is just overwhelmingly heartbreaking. Now, we've all listened now to Mel Robbins' book about Let Them. This is her strategy for dealing with people and situations that just are not working. Just to let them do their lives. And if that means not being in touch with you, connecting with you, sharing their grandchildren, their children with you, your grandchildren, then, that's not always the easiest approach. But I think understanding what some of the things that they say caused that estrangement might give you something to think about, something to work around, something to deal with. The first one that they talked about most frequently, and I know this has come up in other conversations, is the lack of accountability. Many adult children have said that they tried to explain why they were hurt, but parents either dismissed or ignored what they said. They weren't looking for perfection. They knew, most adult children know in their heart of hearts that, most parents were doing the best they could. They didn't, blame them for things that happened. They mostly understood, sometimes not, but that was the thing. They said that they just wanted their parent to be accountable. Just to say, I'm sorry. I understand. I'm sorry. That willingness to understand, to try to jump over into the shoes of the child is so important to many people that commented. Just take accountability. I know this is so hard because you think that you are, and you think that you've said sorry, and all these things. But that's the one that kept being repeated. The second was constant criticism or judgment. They felt that as children, maybe as teenagers, they were criticized and judged. This is a challenging one because it's easy to do. You've got your beliefs, you've got your own way of doing things, you've got your own childhood traumas, you've got your own things that you've dealt with, but that's what they said, feeling that nothing was ever good enough for you as a parent, that you were constantly criticizing and judging. And this is particularly difficult when you've got a difference in lifestyle belief or a difference in political belief. These are very, very challenging barriers to overcome in the sense of not judging, not being critical. But that was the second thing that people said. Different values or identities. Again, this is back to the thing of having just different view of the world, seeing things differently politically or socially. And these differences can really drive a wedge. And I'm not judging myself here. I'm really just sharing what people said, and if it gives any help to you to go back and try again, or to just be at peace with what the situation is, I think that's really what I'm trying to achieve here. This is specifically LGBTQ, identity, religion, politics, where the adult children, as a child, then felt, as they were growing up in their teenage and young adult years, felt that they were being judged and not accepted for who they were. Now, this may be something that you understand and that you have let it be, because you cannot make that value leap. It's not in your DNA to do it. But the next one that many people mentioned was feeling emotionally unsafe. They felt maybe that they were controlled, manipulated, that there were things going on in the relationship that were, trying to instill guilt and let out and been driven by guilt and misunderstanding by the adult. This is a really difficult one. Feeling emotionally unsafe is really so specific and so personal, and I think that's the thing that was really challenging. Other people talked about, another women, this is mostly women actually, by the way, in the comments of the TikTok article, generational trauma or unhealed patterns. This can be such a big one. Generational trauma that you, as a parent, were dealing with, and therefore passed that on to, well, because you couldn't do anything differently. You were dealing with this unresolved trauma, and pass it on to them, and then they had to deal with it. So being a victim of emotional neglect, verbal abuse was mentioned. And these are hard words for me to say, because I know that people are like cringing, thinking, what are you saying, Margaret? Like, you're talking to your people here. You're talking to your women. How can you say these things that we did, or that our children perceived that we did? And that's the secret there. And if you don't want to listen to this, I totally understand. Please go and make a cup of tea and just go for a walk, and it's okay. This is only if you want to get another view on it, a different perspective on it. I totally understand with all my heart, because I'm actually, one of the people involved in this too. The next thing, verbal abuse and favoritism. That's another thing a lot of people mentioned, not a lot, but several people mentioned favoritism, that one of your siblings was treated in a different way than you, or got better treatment, or got more things, or, whatever, just favoritism, that was mentioned. Boundary violations. I think that's a really, important one, especially as adult children reach their teenage years, where they had boundaries that they had set for themselves in situations. And most young adults really do know what those boundaries need to be. Many don't, but there's many pathways you can go. But a lot of people commented that was, one of the challenges that they face, is that you parents wanted the boundaries to be your boundaries, and they wanted their boundaries to be theirs. Let them. I think the minimization of mental health or emotional needs. I think a lot of young people, subsequently have been diagnosed with autism, and maybe you have a view about that, because there's been a lot of that. But autistic children, children with actual medical issues, mental health issues that you didn't stand up for and you didn't help them with, that can cause estrangement as well. So all these things are, by the way, there was, maybe 20 people that came online and talked about this. And I've actually done research in the past. So it was a kind of a combination of other research I've done where I've asked adult children why. And hopefully this has been helpful. Of course, there's some ways now that we can talk about peacefully trying to find peace and let go. We've talked about Mel Robbins' book, which I think is super helpful. It's a book that's called Let Them. There's some really powerful moments in that book where it's like, if they don't want to see you, don't want to spend time with you, let them. If they don't want you to be part of their life with their children, and they put up barriers so that you can't make that happen, let them. If they want to be choose a different lifestyle choice, LGBT, gay, or trans, let them. At this point in their adult life, it's not going to change without coming at it from a different perspective. So use the let them strategy as a way to do it. Asking why over and over again is a weapon that we sometimes use against ourselves. Like, why did that happen? Why don't they love me? Why did they leave me? Why don't they want to see me? You can get caught in that weaponized why me that keeps you in a sad and depressing place all your life. Don't base your own worth on recognition by your adult children. But just because they don't want to see you, or they've made a decision to limit their engagement, it doesn't mean that you're not a good person, or that you're not a wonderful human being. Just know that you've got intrinsic wealth. You've got intrinsic value that is, something you can live with. You can let everything else go. Know that you're a good person, that you did your best. And I know that's kind of a phrase that a lot of people use. Well, I did the best given what I knew, what I had. And I use that in my situation sometimes. But we have to then accept the consequences of some of those decisions. And if it's to let your children live on with their lives, get on with their world, and forgive yourself if you can. Okay, you got to try. You got to try to forgive yourself. If all else fails and it doesn't work, you got to feel good about your life. You got to try to forgive yourself. Okay, deep breaths, Margaret. I don't think I've taken a breath the entire this entire video because it's so painful for me to know how much it's affected so many of you, hundreds of you. I'm expecting there to be hundreds of comments to this video because sometimes you just got to talk it out, and that's okay too. No, we're here. We're here for each other. This is what the 60andMe community and my own view of community is all about, that we are here for each other. And I'm here by your side. Okay, we're holding hands. Okay, everybody, take really, really good care. I hope this has been useful. Please take it in the spirit that I offered it, and I welcome your comments.